This is Professor Joe, your education advocate. Today I will share this topic on logic, especially the distinction between formal and informal logic. Logic isn't just for philosophers, it's for everyone. I learned about logic at the end of my sophomore year in college. Everyone in our class learned the definition of logic as an art and science of correct thinking. As an art, logic needs mastery and skills to have valid arguments. As a science, it follows and respects rules to achieve valid arguments. Logic has two parts, formal and informal logic. Formal logic is like math for arguments. It uses strict rules and structure, like a recipe you follow, some precise instructions to do. It can be very academic in technical fields, but it may not be very practical for daily life's needs and situations. The practical and useful kind of logic belongs to informal logic, which serve as a tool for daily living and survival. Let me start with formal logic. It sounds very academic, dealing with gymnastics of rules, premises, and syllogism, and learning how to spot validity. Mastering formal logic can be your secret weapon to start philosophizing and spot valid and invalid arguments. So, formal logic sounds intimidating, but it's all about understanding perception, abstraction, ideas, terms, propositions, syllogism, premises, and arguments. We need to get into the basics of logic in this study. Mastering these basics makes you an artist, building your syllogistic knowledge. So formal logic is like the grammar of syllogism. First, we perceive something, for example, a chair, and then we abstract something from the perception of a chair, call it ideas, or we conceptualize our experience of something. Ideas are now set as a concept and assumed a term. So the idea of a chair now uses the term chair. So concepts and terms intertwine together in the process of perception and abstraction. We assign terms to represent the concept of an experience of something. A word or a phrase will form part of the concepts or ideas that represent the experience or perception of something. For example, a cat, justice, or fast car. You can add new terms when new experience comes, fill up your vocabulary lists, and start formulating sentences of assertion about something. Any judgment of something can be expressed into simple assertions called propositions. When propositions are used to argue a point, we now formulate premises and develop syllogisms as the language of formal logic. Take a look at this example. All humans are mortal. Socrates is human, therefore Socrates is mortal. The first two propositions are known as premises, the major and minor premise. We have now arguments. An argument is a set of statements aimed at proving a point or a conclusion. We are trying to prove something true and valid in syllogistic formulations. So, mastery of these can help one think clearly and argue effectively. So, I encourage you to dive into formal logic to sharpen your mind. How to spot an invalid from a valid syllogism. Remember that not all syllogisms are created equal. Some are valid and some are invalid. Let's examine this syllogism. All dogs are animals. All poodles are dogs, therefore all poodles are animals. The conclusion seems logically follows from the premises. What about this? All cats are animals. All dogs are animals, therefore all dogs are cats. Wait, what? That doesn't make sense. The conclusion doesn't follow from the premises, making it an invalid argument. Understanding syllogisms helps us think critically and spot faulty reasoning. This type of argument can be useful for writing essays, solving problems, and even debating. The venue for validating the statements or arguments can be tested in practical life situations. Is it the case in a real world of things? It is making sense in real life. Now let's get informal. Informal logic is what we use in everyday conversations. It's a bit messier and relies on context, experience, and sometimes gut feeling. Imagine convincing your friend to watch a movie. Everyone loves it, the reviews are great, and the trailer looks awesome. The realm of informal logic ranges from verbal arguments to a debate of real life issues. Informal logic examines its validity using formal logic and verifies the arguments to make sure they won't fall into logical fallacies, which are errors in thinking either as arguments won't necessarily follow or they don't make sense in real life. The practical purpose of informal logic is simply that we don't like losing in our arguments, but at the same time, our arguments must make sense in real life, and if they fall into logical fallacies, we have to learn how to avoid them. Let's dive into some few common logical fallacies. First up, the straw man fallacy. Imagine your friend says we should cut down on junk food. You respond with, "So you want us to starve?" That's a straw man. You're distorting their argument to make it easier to attack. Second is the ad hominem fallacy. Instead of arguing the point, you attack the person, like saying, "You're wrong because you're ugly." It's not just mean, it's bad logic. Third, there's the slippery slope fallacy. Think of saying, if we allow kids to play video games, they'll never leave the house and fail school. One thing doesn't always lead to another. Lastly, the bandwagon fallacy. Ever heard this? This is how it argues. Everyone's doing it, so it must be right. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's correct. So watch out for these fallacies you may be using. So next time when you're in a debate, think twice. You may be in the spotlight of these fallacies. Informal logic can be of help. It helps you spot bad arguments and stand your ground like a pro. Why not, right? Just learn the art and science of logic. Thanks for watching. Please continue to support my education channel.